many great trotting races in 1975. The Yonkers Futurity, Vernon's Gold Cup, Liberty Bell's Colonial, the venerable Kentucky Futurity. But the trotting contest that continued to capture the fancy and interest of horsemen and harness fans from New York City to New South Wales was still the hallowed Hambletonian stake. Hambletonian, raced for the last 19 years at Quoin, Illinois, was 50 years old in 1975. And this is the story of the celebration that marked that birthday. Bill Hayes II, as usual, was the impresario, the young godfather of the famed stake. And he was asked how long the fair had been preparing for the anniversary.
For several years, you might say, but certainly in earnest, beginning with the end of last year's Hambletonian. We worked on several things, including obtaining a pari-mutuel betting license, which entailed work with the legislature, as you know, and, of course, changing the schedule to Saturday this year to enable national television coverage. And, of course, the biggest change is that the purse is now $232,000, making it the richest race for harness horses in the world.
With thousands of trotting faithful in the stands and millions more at home in front of their television sets, most eyes were fastened upon Bonefish, a strapping bay colt who was named for the scrappy game fish from waters off the coast of Florida. And why shouldn't Bonefish command that attention? Hadn't trainer-driver Stanley Dancer announced flatly that his colt was capable of breaking most of the records set by his sire, Dancer's great champion Neville Pride? But then form has not always held up in the nation's most treasured trotting race. Remember Helicopter? Remember Egyptian Candor? Remember Christopher T? The preliminaries over, and with cameras of the CBS television network in place, the field for the first heat was introduced.
Number 1, Song Flory, Delvin Miller driving. 1A, the great filly champion Meadow Bright with Sonny Graham Jr. in the bike. 2, Glasgow, all-time driving champion Bill Houghton in the sulky. 2A, Spearmint, driven by Dick Williams. Number 3, Surefire Hanover and Ronnie Dancer. 3A, Bonefish, the favorite, with Stanley Dancer in the sulky. 4, Yankee Bambino, driven by Walter Ross. Number 5, Noble Rogue and driver Jimmy Arthur. 6 is Noble Twist. Joe O'Brien will drive. Number 7, Jubilee Triton. The driver is Jim Russell. 8 is Fashion Blaze. Jimmy Laurent in the bike. Number 9, Ways to Win. Glenn Garnsey is the driver. And number 10, second filly in the field, Exclusive Way, with driver John Simpson Jr.
And the 50th Hambletonian was underway.
The field in behind the starting gate for the 50th Hambletonian Trotting Classic. Here they come. They're off and trotting Noble Rogue. First away down along the inside. Glasgow out fast, and from the outside comes Bonefish. Into that first turn, Noble Rogue with the lead. Bonefish powering up on the outside. Fashion Blaze goes off stride, and Glasgow is third down along the rail. A battle for the lead. Bonefish up on the outside. Noble Rogue is second. Tucked in third along the rail is Glasgow. Yankee Bambino fourth on the outside as they go to the quarter-mile mark. Bonefish and Noble Rogue battling for that lead past a quarter and a blistering 28 2/5 seconds. It is Bonefish with the lead, Noble Rogue second, Glasgow trotting third, Yankee Bambino fourth on the outside, and Jubilee Triton fifth at the rail. Surefire Hanover sixth on the outside, Song Flory seventh, Ways to Win is eighth. Exclusive Way trotting ninth, Spearmint is 10th, Noble Twist 11th, Fashion Blaze off stride in 12th, and Meadow Bright is 13th. Bonefish the leader, Noble Rogue second, and on the outside, thundering up comes Yankee Bambino, trotting very fast now as they move to the half, past the half, and 58 1. Following Yankee Bambino is Surefire Hanover on the outside, and Glasgow down along the rail. rail. It is Bonefish with that lead. Up on the outside, Yankee Bambino challenging. Noble Rogue third down along the rail. Surefire Hanover up on the outside. Bonefish the leader at the far turn. Yankee Bambino coming on. Noble Rogue still third down along the rail. Up on the outside, Surefire Hanover, and Glasgow is fifth. As they move to the three-quarter-mile mark, they're now head and head. Bonefish on the inside. Yankee Bambino on the outside. Three-quarters and 1:28 and 2/5. And Yankee Bambino moves out to take the lead in the first heat of the Hambletonian as they turn into the stretch. It's Yankee Bambino with Surefire Hanover coming on. Yankee Bambino with a 2-length lead. Surefire Hanover is driving up. Noble Rogue trotting powerfully and gaining ground. And Song Flory is closing ground. Down through the lane, it's Yankee Bambino, Surefire Hanover, and Noble Rogue. And the mile is 1:59 in the first heat of the Hambletonian.
Yankee Bambino, bred by former baseball great Charlie Keller and named for the immortal Babe Ruth, wins the first heat in 1:59 flat. And driver Walter Ross is so stunned that he's speechless for minutes after the contest. Surefire Hanover was second, with Noble Rogue third. And what of Bonefish, the colt that was supposed to smash Neville Pride's records? The Neville Pride's son tired in the stretch, reported driver Dancer, and finished ninth. But his driver has no intention of scratching him from the next heat. None whatsoever. We'll be back for another shot at them, and I think we'll win it before the afternoon is over, a surprisingly confident Dancer says. And Dancer, who co-owned Bonefish with his wife Rachel and with A.M. Cuddy, served notice in the stretch of the second heat that he was not guilty of idle boasting.
Here they come in the second heat of the Hambletonian. They're off and trotting. Noble Rogue is out fast. Surefire Hanover, Glasgow on the outside, and Yankee Bambino down along the rail. Noble Rogue going for that lead once again. Surefire Hanover right there second. Glasgow trotting fast in third on the outside. Yankee Bambino is fourth, and Noble Trist fifth. It's Noble Rogue with the lead. On the outside, Glasgow. Down along the inside, Surefire Hanover, and Yankee Bambino is fourth. Glasgow races up to challenge Noble Rogue for the lead. Surefire Hanover third. Ronnie Dancer looks back for Bonefish as they move around the turn, the quarter in 28 and 3. Bonefish not there, and Ronnie moves out with Surefire Hanover to challenge Glasgow for the lead. It is Glasgow on the inside, Surefire Hanover powering up on the outside. Surefire Hanover goes to the front, Glasgow second. Noble Trist moves up boldly to be third, and Noble Rogue fourth. Yankee Bambino fifth on the inside, Spearman sixth, Meadow Bright seventh, Exclusive Way trotting eighth, and Bonefish is ninth. Song Flory 10th, Ways to Win 11th, Jubilee Triton is 12th, and Passion Blaze off stride in 13th, and they get to the half in 57 and 2/5 seconds with Noble Trist in command. It's Noble Trist, and despite that torrid half, here comes Yankee Bambino up on the outside. It's Noble Trist with the lead. Surefire Hanover moves out once again, used again as he moves to the front, and on the outside, Yankee Bambino coming at him. It's Noble Trist down along the inside. Surefire Hanover between horses, Yankee Bambino on the outside. Those three trotting fast around that far turn. Down along the inside, Noble Trist. Surefire Hanover right there. Yankee Bambino on the outside. Three-quarters in 1:28, and Yankee Bambino is coming on. Bonefish now moving up from far back as they turn into the stretch. On the outside, Yankee Bambino. Surefire Hanover right with him. Down along the inside, Noble Trist. Noble Rogue is coming on, and Bonefish on the extreme outside. Noble Rogue takes the lead. Bonefish on the extreme outside is coming on, and Meadow Bright. It's Noble Rogue, Bonefish, and Meadow Bright as they drive to the wire in the second heat. The mile is 1:59 and 2/5.
The winner, however, was Noble Rogue, owned by K.D. Owen, a youngster who had been one of the brightest lights among the 2-year-olds of 1974, and was only now beginning to race back to that form. 2 heats, 2 winners. And it began to look like a long afternoon of racing at the huge and handsome Quoin Fairground. There most assuredly would be a third contest, since a trotter must win a pair of heats to carry off the giant Hambletonian trophy. But would there be a third winner? Indeed there would.
Second and Racing in third is Meadow Bright. And Dancer moves out once again with Bonefish. As they get to the half in 101, it's Stanley Dancer taking Bonefish to the lead. Spearmint is second. Meadow Bright is out of third and driving now as they go to the far turn. And up on the outside, coming on once again, trotting powerfully, Yankee Bambino. 3-4 wide, going down the back stretch as they head to the far turn. Bonefish is the leader. Meadow Bright battling Spearmint, and on the outside, Yankee Bambino coming on. Bonefish has blown off the lead by 5 open lengths, going to the 3/4 mile mark. It is Bonefish past the 3/4 in 1:31 with a 4-length lead. Yankee Bambino is coming on. Bonefish is the leader. Yankee Bambino and Meadow Bright still holding on as they drive into the stretch. It is Bonefish showing the way. Yankee Bambino. Here comes Song's Glory, trotting powerfully on the outside through the lane. Bonefish is the leader. Yankee Bambino and Song's Glory. It is Bonefish, Song's Glory, Yankee Bambino in fashion plays in the mile in 2 minutes and 3/5 of a second in the third heat of the Hambletonian.
Bonefish, with a 2-minute and 3 triumph under his harness, heads for victory lane. And the price of trotting just went up. CBS Television, choosing the golden anniversary of the stake to telecast the Hambletonian for the first time, had backed a winner. 3 heats, 3 different winners. And now, a race-off between the trio of victors, with a major portion of harness racing's richest purse ever hanging in the balance. Headed to post were Bonefish, the comeback kid, handled by Stanley Dancer, upset-minded Yankee Bambino and reinsman Walter Ross, and the rapidly improving Noble Rogue with driver Jim Arthur. And it was showdown time. A Hambletonian champion was about to be crowned. To make the event still more dramatic, a world record for 4 heats divided was also on the line, as the 3 trotters reached the half in 1, 2, and 4.
And go to the far turn, and no moves as yet, as Noble Rogue leads the way, and Bonefish trots second behind him. Now a length and a half back. Yankee Bambino another 2 lengths back, and Bonefish is out and driving. Dancer moves out with Bonefish to challenge with more than a 1/4 mile to go. Noble Rogue down along the inside by a neck. Bonefish second on the outside. Yankee Bambino coming on now a length and a half further back. They're moving to the 3/4. Noble Rogue leads the way along the inside by a neck. Bonefish is second, and Yankee Bambino moves to the outside now, and the 3 horses tied in a struggle. 1:34 for 3/4 of a mile. Bonefish, Yankee Bambino on the outside. Noble Rogue down along the inside. Dancer goes to the whip with Bonefish. On the outside, Yankee Bambino is coming on. Yankee Bambino and Bonefish and Noble Rogue down along the inside. It's Yankee Bambino and Bonefish in a driving finish. Bonefish on the inside. Yankee Bambino on the outside, driving to the wire. And as they come to the wire, it looks like Bonefish and Yankee Bambino. It looks like a heavy. It's a photo here in the 4th heat. The mile in the 4th heat, 2:02 and 4. New world record for 4 heats. It's a close finish between Bonefish and Yankee Bambino.
It was over. The 50th and richest Hambletonian of them all was history. Bonefish, the colt that was supposed to win it, had come through, had scored a nose triumph over Yankee Bambino in the final dash, had given Stanley Dancer his 3rd Hambletonian victory. And Bonefish had trotted his mile in 2, 2, and 4 to complete the 4 swiftest trotting heats in history. Victory lane was jammed, as always. Driver Dancer was there. So were co-owners Rachel Dancer and Mac Cuddy. So was Illinois Governor Dan Walker. And so was Fred Van Lennep, the master of Castleton Farm, who had recently paid a flat $1 million for Bonefish. In the eye of the storm of festivities, of course, was the Hambletonian winner himself, Bonefish, the colt who had rallied from a 9th place finish in the first heat to capture the most famous trotting race of them all. Ironically, sadly, the Hambletonian was the colt's last victory, the stake's final dash, his last race. A week later, approaching the starting gate in the matron stake at Wolverine Raceway, Bonefish began to bleed from the nose. He was scratched, and post-race tests indicated that he had ruptured a blood vessel in his throat. He would race no more. But the winner of the Hambletonian's golden anniversary, one of the greatest editions of them all, would continue his contributions to the sport as the sire of future trotting champions. welcome fly in the ointment of racing in the Midwest during the late summer had given the Hambletonian a free ride. Not so the sport's most prestigious stake on the pacing gate, the Little Brown Jug at the Delaware County Fairground in Ohio. The skies had emptied on Jug Day, Thursday, September 18th, and forced the postponement of the great classic to Friday. There were those who said the contest wouldn't be held then either, but Wayne Curly Smart, the cherub-like horseman whose maintenance magic has made the Delaware track one of the swiftest half-milers in the nation, remained confident that his track would heal, that the Jug would be held on Friday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, this here will just make it that much faster. Oh, it's alive, see? That's what you call, what we call being alive, is when it's got a little cushion and they just spring over. See, they won't be towing into this. They'll be just about like this, see? But when they pick their foot up, it'll hold and they don't lose it. They go like a son of a gun over it.
And Curly, whose connections may just stretch to the heavens, was so right. The Jug indeed would be held on Friday. Just as the Hambletonian boasted a horse to beat, Bonefish, so did the Brown Jug. Nero, a 15-time winner in 1975. Nero, boasting $288,000 in purses on the year. Nero, the pacer the U.S. Trotting Association said might well pace in 154 before the season was over. Nero showing some of the form that won him the cane and the adios. Surely the favorite in the 1975 edition of the Little Brown Jug. Surprisingly, the presence of the super pacer in the field had done little to scare off his rivals. No less than 18 of Nero's classmates were entered in the Pacing Classic, and all the other star pupils were among them. What a Baron, Albert Starr, H.A.'s Pet, and Polaris Lobel. There were outsiders in the field, too. Pacers with only a slender chance of winning the $148,000 stake. One of them was a bay gelding called Sea Train, like Nero, a son of red-hot pacing sire Meadow Skipper. Sea Train was unraced as a 2-year-old and had but 9 starts as a sophomore when he turned up at Delaware. Yet some horsemen were talking about him. People like Nero's driver, Joe O'Brien.
3 in there that are probably especially tough. That's Osborne's Brett, Sea Train, and What a Baron.
And the favorite's caretaker, Ben Benjamin.
There's a new horse called Sea Train that Manny Webster has.
Was Sea Train, owned and trained by Lee Benson, the real article? Time would tell. And that time was suddenly at hand as the field for the first elimination heat left the gate and announcer Roger Huston began to do his thing.
We're off then, facing Osborne's Brett going for the lead. Armbro Patch at the rail. Sea Train on the outside with What a Baron 4 wide as they race around the turn. Nero 5th at the rail. Trucks on Hanover is 6th. Polaris Lobel 7th. Fence Contester 8th. H.A.'s Pet 9th. Past Night trails the field as they race down the back stretch. That's What a Baron up on the outside to take the lead. Sea Train 2nd at the rail. That quarter in 28 and 1. On the move on the outside. That's Trucks on Hanover now 3rd. Armbro Patch is 4th. Osborne's Brett 5th. Nero 6th at the rail. Polaris Lobel 7th. H.A.'s Pet is 8th. Past Night 9th at the rail. Treading the field, Dance Contester as they race into the stretch, passing a stand of the first time. That's What a Baron on top. Sea Train 2nd at the rail. Armbro Patch 3rd. A half in 57 seconds. The fastest half mile ever in the Little Brown Jug. Racing 3rd at the rail. Armbro Patch. Up on the outside, Osborne's Brad is 4th. Trips on Hanover 5th. Nero goes to the outside 6th. Polaris Lobel 7th. H.A.'s Pat is 8th. Past Night 9th at the rail as they race down the back stretch. That's What a lead. Sea Train is on the move on the outside. Nero 3 wide. The 3/4 in 1:27 as they race around the turn. That's Wada Baron at the rail. Sea Train on the outside. Osborne's Brad third. Nero with a long way to go fourth. Polaris Lobel fifth. He's got an eighth of a mile to go. It's Sea Train with the lead. Wada Baron at the rail. Osborne's Brad 3 wide with a rush. It's Sea Train on the outside. Osborne's Brad. Sea Train into the hour. 1:57.
Some 30,000 roaring fans, barely trusting their eyes, hailed the previously unheralded Sea Train. The Ben Webster-driven youngster had paced his mile in 1:57 to set a world mark for geldings over a half-mile track. Osborne's Brett, with driver Tom Brinkerhoff, was second, with Polaris Lobel and reinsman Vernon Dancer third. Finishing fourth and earning the remaining spot in the final dash was Wada Baron, handled by Lou Williams. Unbelievably, the great Nero, who had set the pace in the sizzling mile, had finished fifth. He was eliminated from the finale, was through for the afternoon. The young king was ailing and would be beset by problems the remainder of the season. Nero would have to rest on the sizable collection of laurels he had amassed earlier in the year. Meanwhile, there was another elimination heat to race. 4 more berths in the final dash to be decided. 8 pacers were scrapping for them, scrapping hard. Albert Starr was the fans' choice in this one, although it was Shirley's Bow and Brett's Champ who hustled the 8 down to the half in an amazing 58 seconds flat. The Delaware fans sat up and took notice. Jug Day crowds love fast miles, and a 58-second spurt to the half pole was a gilt-edged guarantee of a fast mile. If the first half belonged to Shirley's Bow, the last 4 furlongs were certainly the property of Albert Starr, as Keith Waples stoked up the Ceiling Stables fire burner and set sails for the front end.
Third, Patio Skipper, fourth on the outside. Omaha Kids on the move, fifth on the outside. Here comes Bobo Arrow, now 6. Breezy time 7, stop for Baron is 8. Heading the field, all-time Brett. Down the back stretch, it's Albert Starr with the lead. The 3/4 in 1:26 and 4. A third quarter in 28 and 4 as they race around the turn. That's Albert Starr by a length and a half.
Once on top, Albert Starr was not about to yield that enviable position, although Bobo Arrow made him labor hard to preserve it with a spirited chase down the stretch.
Bobo Arrow and Shirley Bow on the outside. It's Albert Starr at the rail. Bobo Arrow with a rush into the hour. 1:56 and 4.
The figure was only a single tick off the all-time mark for 3-year-olds over a half-mile track. The horse that had set the record was Strikeout. The record-setting driver was Keith Waples, the man who had handled Albert Starr. And the record mile had come at Delaware in the Little Brown Jug. Shirley's Bow and Brett's Champ trailed Albert Starr and Bobo Arrow across the wire to gain entry into the rich final dash. The cast then was complete for the final elimination. If Sea Train or Albert Starr won it, the Little Brown Jug would be over. If another entry from the field of 8 managed to win, the jug would go to a 4th heat, with all 3 winners coming back. Heading to post were Sea Train, Albert Starr, Bobo Arrow, Osborne's Brett, Polaris Lobel, Shirley's Bow, Wada Baron, and Brett's Champ. And then they were charging away from the gate.
They're off then, pacing Sea Train going for the lead. Polaris Lobel on the outside. Albert Starr racing third. Bobo Arrow fourth at the rail. Osborne's Brett fifth. Shirley's Bow sixth. Wada Baron 7th at the rail. Treading the field, Brett's Champ as they race to the back stretch. That's Sea Train on top of the field. Polaris Lobel tucks in, 2nd at the rail. Albert Starr 3rd. Bobo Arrow is 4th. Osborne's Brett 5th. The quarter in 28 and 1/5. Shirley's Bow 6th at the rail. Wada Baron racing 7th. Brett's Champ trails the field. Here comes Wada Baron, now 7th, now 6th, now 5th fourth on the outside at the 3/8 mark. That Sea Train with the lead. Polaris Lobel is second. Albert Star third at the rail. What a Baron fourth on the outside. Shirley's Bow is fifth. Bobo Arrow sixth at the rail. Brett's Champ on the outside seventh. A half in 1 minute and 2/5. Osborne's Brett goes to the outside as they race around the turn. That Sea Train with the lead. Up on the outside, What a Baron is second. Polaris Lobel third at the rail. Shirley's Bow on the outside fourth. Albert Star fifth at the rail. Brett's Champ on the outside sixth. Bobo Arrow is seventh. Osborne's Brett trails the field as they race down the back stretch, nearing the 3/4 mark. It's Sea Train with the lead. The 3/4 in 1:31 and 3. What a Baron on the outside second. Polaris Lobel is third. Shirley's Bow racing fourth on the outside. That Sea Train to open up by a length and a half. Polaris Lobel second at the rail. What a Baron is third as they come to the payoff. It's Sea Train. Polaris Lobel on the outside. That Sea Train with the lead, and here they are. Mile in 1:59 and 4.
The 1975 edition of the Little Brown Jug Pacing Stake, hosted by Hank Thompson, belonged to Sea Train. His 1:59 and 4 clocking, combining with his 1:57 in the first elimination dash, made him history's fastest gelding in 2 heats over a twice-around oval. In all, 6 world marks had tumbled in the 3 dashes of the 1975 jug. Sea Train, hardly a household word when the afternoon had gotten underway, was well on his way to becoming one. And it had all happened in the Little Brown Jug, where such things had been happening since 1946.